Hello, pukers. Today, we're going to do something a little bit different. Now we also do that every day because I don't have, like, a consistent, type of video I make, but don't worry about that. Anyways, this right here is, my current, developer version of Adnatch, which is my ad nauseum themed card game. Because I've never stopped thinking about this game for the last five months, maybe? Somewhere around there. There are official rules for Adnatch that you can read. They'll probably be linked in the description. However, those rules were written by me, and I'm not very good at writing rules. So, I figured no better way to explain the rules of the game than just to, show me playing a bit. Notably, there's an important distinction between this and a normal game of Adnatch, which is that the deck is stacked. As you can see here, this is my deck, this is my opponent's deck. They've already gotten set up because they're better than me. She's better than me, I should say. Yeah. My deck is stacked. I have specifically picked out these cards, and I have a specific plan for how this entire game is going to go. Designed to make it easier for people viewing to, like, learn the game, if that makes sense. To show all of the mechanics that might be confusing in a way that hopefully isn't. Which is what these 6 cards are. That's going to be my drawing starting hand, most of it. Those are the cards I'm going to use for the demonstration. But first, we have to set the game up. I've already brought my deck of cards, as has my opponent. If you want to do deck building stuff, you're going to kind of have to talk to me individually, probably, to ask me about it, because it is... Deck building as it currently exists is in a very complicated situation. But let's say, I've custom built this deck, and I've brought it here to play against my eternal rival, Nilli, right? So, here's how the game setup works. Each player sets their energy, that's this is energy, to 3, and their health, this, to 20. They make 5 copies of trivia and put them in the information pile. In evidence, rather. This is information, it goes in evidence. I should remember that. I made the game. Yeah. They put those 5 in 5 trivia cards into evidence, and they draw 7. So, that is the sort of forget something. I forgot to put a card in this, in my cheaty thingy. 1 second. If you see your opponent doing this in a real game, they're cheating. But it's fine for me to do it, because I'm playing against, Nilli, and she's chill with that. There we go. Deck properly stacked in my favor. Or in her favor. I don't know yet. So, yeah. This is how each player is at the start of the game. And, normally, yeah. That's how it is at the start of the game. And now I'm gonna play my, here, let's Scrubs officiate that one. I would have Nilli go ahead and do all of her stuff, but she already has because she's so smart. Also worth noting that normally, playing cards during your opponent's turn is a thing you can do a lot. Specifically, if the card is an instant, you can play it during your opponent's turn. That's not going to, that's not going to happen here. Because both me and my opponent are me. And so, like, you know, I I forgot what cards she has in her hand, so I can't play any of them, if that makes sense. Anyways, it's time for the official turn 1. Alright, so, for turn 1, we are going to play a few cards. We're going to play Detective Susu, we are going to play Sterling Credit, and we're going to play Pack of a Villain. Violent? I don't know if it's explicitly said either way. First off, Detective Susu. She is a woman. That means she will stay on the board until she gets binned. Women and item are both permanents, which means they will stay on the board until they are banned. Or put into discard, but they're usually banned rather than discarded. Detective Susu says, mystery, 2 clues. Tap, investigate equal to the number of clues attached to Detective Susu. Don't worry about that second part. The part we have to worry about right now is mystery, 2 clues. So basically, if a card has mystery on it, whenever you play that card, you're going to take the number and type of information that it says and put that into evidence. She says 2 clues, so we're going to take these 2 clues and we're going to put them into evidence. If this were a real game, we would shuffle them into evidence. We would shuffle them into evidence. However, for the purposes of rigging this game, we're just going to put them on the top. If the game weren't rigged, they would be shuffled. That should make sense. We have played Detective Susu, we have triggered her Mr. effect, and now we have to pay her cost. Technically, you usually have to pay her cost before you play her, but I always forget to, so it's probably fine. You can see that green 1 in that corner. I can't cursor over it with my mouse because my mouse is the card that you're seeing. But yeah, this one, you can kind of see it, maybe see I'm hovering over it. This one, right here, means that we have to spend 1 of our 3 energy to play her. Okay, next card is Sterling Credit. There are a lot of words on Sterling Credit. The only ones that matter for this demonstration is credit 4, 4 minus 3, if you can see there. What that means is this card starts with 3 of these little tokens on it, and whenever it's your turn, you can add a token to it to add 1 more energy, or spend an energy to remove a token. So however, you cannot add more tokens than it has max credit, which is the first number. So the first number, that 4, is the max credit you can give it, and the second number, that 3, is how many credit it starts off when you first play it. Kind of makes it more of a debit card because you have to pay it off before you can benefit from it, but don't worry about that. That's just demonstrating its basic functionality. We can pay 2 energy to play this, and then we can put an extra token on it to refund 1 of that energy, because it starts with an extra space for energy. So if that makes sense. Next, we're going to play Pack of Villain. Villain? It isn't. Whatever. This is an instant. The way instants work is you play them, and assuming your opponent doesn't do anything else, you play it, do whatever it says, and then put it in the discard pile. In this case, it says Mystery 4 Villain, which means we go 1, 2, 3, 4, and we're just going to put those on top again. We've done that. We're out of energy. Technically, each turn has like 5 phases, but that doesn't matter for here, since we just did everything on our main phase, which is mostly what's going to happen. There's nothing else we can do here, so we're going to give the turn to our opponent. Okay, now we're playing as the opponent. So, normally, at the start of each turn, you set your energy to 3, untap all tapped permanents you control, and draw 1 card. However, our energy's already 3. We don't have any permanents we control, and you don't draw a card on the first turn cycle. Yeah, you don't draw a card on your first turn. Like, technically, our opponent, Maddie, also did exactly that, but none of that mattered, since it was the start of, since she didn't have anything to do with any of that. Anyways, we are going to play Patina Credit, Sarah's, and Rhonda. So Patina Credit, it's another credit card, starts with 1 dead on it, and you can go up to 2. So, I should probably do that more formally. Yeah, we play Patina Credit, put the 1 on it, pay the 2, add a debt to it to gain an energy. Then we're gonna spend an energy to play Sarah's, and we're gonna spend an energy to play Rhonda. That's simple enough, right? Pretty easy to understand. I hope you understand that, because it's about to get a bit more complicated. Okay, so, something pretty important to understand is the way order matters for this game. For example, as I said, at the start of your turn, you untapped all tapped permanents you control. We don't have any of those. Set your energy to 3, and draw a card. A notable thing about this is you can do those in any order you want. So, for example, this turn, I'm going to set my energy to 3, and then draw a card, because I want to play Jadderall. Now, Jadderall is a bit of a fancy card. It can do 2 things at once. It says choose 1, prevent, draw, tutor, instant, or discard the top card in your library, prevent, discard, and draw 1. This has prevent as an effect. Prevent as an effect is kind of a messy topic. The important thing to know is that you can't prevent things that aren't happening to you. So for example, I couldn't use this to prevent my opponent from drawing a card, but I can use this to prevent myself from drawing a card. And if I do that, another thing to note is it's prevent, draw, tutor, instant. So that colon basically says that preventing drawing a card is the cost I have to pay to tutor an instant. Now, why would I do this, right? Drawing cards is good. The more cards you have, the more cards you can play. Well, because it lets me tutor something. And what tutoring is I get to look at my whole deck, and I get to pick any card from my deck as long as it is like in the category described by the card that's letting me tutor. So in this case it says tutor instant, and so I have to pick a card that's an instant. I couldn't use Island Saleswoman or Boldera or anything. We are going to grab a lockpick. We're going to put that in our hand. That's what tutoring is. Take a card from your deck and put it in your hand as long as it meets a specific requirement. Then you put your deck back in here and you shuffle it. And so now we move from the start of our turn to our main phase. The notable thing about turn phases is you can only play women and items during your main phase unless they say otherwise. Which only one card says otherwise, so you just have to remember to watch out for her. We grabbed lockpick, and what we're going to do with lockpick is we're going to hit Rhonda with it. I'm going to pay the cost for it, and I'm going to read out to you what lockpick says. Lockpick says, deal 1 damage. If this scotches, investigate 2. So, it says deal 1 damage, so we're going to deal 1 damage to Rhonda, and then we get to talk about scotching. This black token, if this black token is on a woman, it is damage. And if a woman has as much or more damage as they have toughness, which is that second number here. So Rhonda's a 1/1, which means she gets scotched if she has 1 or more damage. Sarah's is a 0/3, which means she gets scotched if she has 3 or more damage. What being scotched means is you kind of flip the card upside down to make sure that you know it's scotched. And all of the text down here, all of the stuff that Rhonda can do, doesn't exist anymore. A scotched woman basically can't do anything except get bend or get healed. They might as well not exist. Since that one damage was enough to scotch Rhonda, you get to investigate too, because that's what lockpick says. So, how does investigate work? Well, to investigate, you draw the top card of the evidence pile, and you do whatever that card wants to do. This says investigates 2, so you do that twice, drawing the top 2 cards of the investigate pile. Now, both of these cards are violent. And what does violent do? You might say, well, it should really say on the card, and you'd be right. But I was lazy when designing these. So what violent does is it gives you 1 energy, and it lets you investigate 1 more. Basically, it's like a free 1 energy somewhere in your investigate pile. So, oops, don't worry about that. Yeah. So we play a violent, increase our energy by 1, and then delete it, and then we play 2 violents, so we get to draw 2 more cards, play those, increase our energy by 2 more, and then delete them. Note generally with information, which is all of these are information cards, because they go into evidence. Information goes into evidence, other cards go into your draw pile. They also have a different path. If ever these cards, like, you don't know where to put them, right? If they aren't, like, here, or attached to anything, then you just delete them. They just stop existing. Yeah, we've got 5 energy now, quite a bit, and we still get to investigate 2 more. And would you look at that? It's 2 clues. And so clues, well, okay, more so, violent doesn't work like any of these others. See, these other cards, these other informations, generally the way they work is you draw them and you, like, put them onto something. Generally, right, you put them onto the thing that made them. For example, Detective Susu says mystery 2 clues, and that means not only does she put 2 clues into the information pile, but it also means you can put up to 2 clues onto her. Though if instants have mysteries, you can't attach clues on them because they aren't, like, in Battlefield. They aren't in play because they're in the discard once you play them. Now that Susu has those clues attached to her, most mystery cards that have a mystery put stuff in this pile, will also have an effect based off how many clues they have. For example, Serene here, you can tap her, which is, tapping, basically it's like exerting this girl's energy, and I get to investigate equal to the number of clues attached to her. So, yeah, it's basically just like saying, you know, Serene has so much energy, and we're kind of exhausting that to look for some clues. And basically what being tapped means is that you can't be tapped to pay the cost of any other effect. Normally, most of the information in this pile will be from mysteries, or at least a lot of it will be from mysteries. But, as I showed at the start of the game, you put 5 trivia in this, also at the start of the game. And if you have trivia, and you play it from here, and there's nowhere else to put it, like I can't put it on this card, and I can't put it on this card, then you put it in this special zone. Which, that's a surprise tool that'll help us later. We're also going to play false here for 2 energy. And then we're going to say, I have 3 energy, but I can only spend 2 energy worth of cards, even if I, like, wanted to spend all of that energy. So, and this is the major use of all credit cards, is I can basically save one of those energies for my next turn, right? By paying off some of this debt, next turn I can use some of the energy I've sort of stored on this card. But we're going to keep our hands on the energy for these Phoneprines in case one of our women get damaged, which I'm sure would never happen. And there's nothing else for us to do, so we're going to pass our turn. Alright, so we are going to draw a card. We're going to set our energy to 3, and we're going to untap all of our tapped cards. None of our cards are tapped. Okay, awesome. we are going to play Maves and Mana War. The stuff that Maves says doesn't matter right now, but there's an important thing. Most of what Mana War says also doesn't matter right now, but the important thing is that first word, haste. Haste means that Mana War can attack and do tap effects on the first turn she's played. Most other cards can't do that. Like, for example, we're not actually going to do anything else this turn, so we can go ahead and demonstrate. Normally, you can only attack with untapped women you control. So for example, I got to attack with Ceres or Manivore, but I can't attack with Maves because I played her this turn. So I'll have to wait to attack with her next turn. But I can attack with Manivore because she has haste. I'm out of water. And so now we get to explain how combat works. And the way combat works is, it's my turn. I basically say, okay, I'm going to attack with these cards. And for now, it's just Mana War. And then my opponent gets to choose what to block with. You can only block with cards that aren't tapped. So we can't block with Negative Susu. And so we are going to block with Thals. I could also choose not to block, and if I don't block, then my opponent can deal 4 damage to my actual health. That 4 damage is coming from Mana War having 4 power. That's, yeah, the first number, she's a 4-1. So she deals 4 damage, and she can take up to 1 damage before getting scotched. And Thals is a 1-1, so she does 1 damage, and can take up to 1 without getting scotched. And so, since Thals is declared as blocking, I'm not going to do anything. Yeah, there's like a little bit of space for people to do like combat tricks. Maybe I'll like try and scotch something, but I can't do any of that. So instead, Thals is going to take 4 damage, and Mana War is going to take 1. This is going to scotch both of them. But Thals is more scotch, to say the least. Okay, unfortunately, so first off, combat is like a different phase, which means you can't play women during combat, but you do get a second main phase after combat to play more women if you want to, but I don't want to, because I can't. So, we're going to pass the turn on to Maddie again. First, we're going to spend both of our Panaparins to heal Thals up. Now, normally when you heal a scotched woman, it will be tapped. However, since I healed Thals before untapping, she gets untapped during the untap step. I'll spend that energy, and then I draw a card, and I set my energy to 3. Okay, cool. So, now, here's what we're going to do. We are going to use Thal's activated ability. This is already something we kind of explored earlier. Activated abilities, that's what I did when I tapped Serene, Negative Susu. Basically, that 2 in that parentheses and that tap in that parentheses say that these are active abilities, which means at any time I can pay the cost on this card in order to activate the effect. So, I can, for example, pay 2 energy to deal 2 damage to target women, because Thal says 2 energy, deal 2 damage to target woman. So, I can, for example, do 2 damage to Mana War. And then, I can maybe add 1 credit to get an extra energy, and then I can spend 2 energy to do 2 damage to Mana War. Now you might be asking me, Aradia, isn't Mana War already scotched? This doesn't seem to be doing anything. And you'd be right. However, this is where Thal's other ability comes in. She can bend target -3 or -3 woman. So, yeah, tap to bend target 3 -1. Target -3 woman, rather. Basically what that -3 means is she can only bend women if they have 3 more damage. Yeah, if they have 3 more damage than toughness. So, for example, Mana War has 5 damage and 1 toughness, which means she would be classified as like -4. You know, there's the 1 damage killing her, and there's the 4 extra damage just sort of on top of that. False's ability lets me tap False in order to bend Mana War. But our opponent's clever. This is another important thing to notice. So, I have activated False's ability, but before that ability resolves, my opponent has the opportunity to do things. So what they're going to do is they're going to activate Ceres's ability. Ceres's ability to tap and return target Scotched Woman, which is in this case Mana War, to their hand. So, they do that. Damage, if you return a card to your hand, all the damage on it goes away, obviously. And now, even though I activated False to bend Mana War, now there is no Mana War to be bent, and so the ability, like, fizzles. It isn't able to actually do anything. That idea is called the stack, and it's important to note that it is a first in, last out thing. So, if you, like, play a card, and your opponent reacts to it, and you reacting to that, the most recent thing to be done is the first thing to get resolved. If that makes sense. We can tap Detective Susu to investigate 2. Here's the deal with the Trivia Zone. So, if there are ever 3 cards in the Trivia Zone, you put those trivias at the bottom of the clue pile. Worth noting, this is at the bottom of evidence. Yeah, not clue pile, evidence. This is at the bottom of evidence. You do not shuffle them in. That means that I'm going to have to draw through the rest of this before I actually get to that trivia again. On top of putting those at the bottom, you also draw a card. This notably means that Investigate, without any like mystery synergy abilities, Investigate is basically a third of a draw. Don't worry about these cards, they don't matter. We're going to end our turn. Okay. Real quick, before we do any like before we do any untap energy stuff, we're going to use Patina Credit's ability, which says we can tap any number of untapped Sterling operatives we control and remove that much debt. A Sterling operative is any card that is a Tips, a Crisis Nurse, or a Psy-Spec. So for example, Maves is a Tip, so we can tap her while activating Patina's ability, and we can remove 1 debt because we tapped 1 Sterling operative. Right, so, yeah, we do that before untapping, because it means we can then untap Patina and Maves, basically getting their ability out, getting that ability out for free. We set our energy to 3, and we've already drawn a card. Okay. Also worth noting, the abilities of something like Patina Credit that tap other cards, get through Summoning Sickness. So, like, you can't use Ceres's ability on the turn she's played, but you could use an ability that taps Ceres on the turn she's played, if that makes sense. Okay, so this turn, we're going to play Jika. We're going to take 3 energy, then we're just going to put her here for now, and we are going to play, Mana War again. Well, okay, we're gonna put 1 debt on this credit to play Mana War, to get 1 energy to play Mana War again. There's nothing else we want to do here, so we're gonna move on to combat again. The Janata. Oh, okay, so, my script forgot to account for the fact that my opponent is currently tapped out, which means they can't block with anything. Yeah. So, normally, my opponent can't block with anything because all of their creatures that could defend are tapped. 6 damage straight to face. Actually, that's fine. Okay, went off script a little bit, but it's fine. we're gonna deal 6 damage straight to our opponent. 6 damage. Because that is 4 damage from Maves and 4 damage from Manowar. And we get to use Maves' ability. When Maves hits face, you may heal target woman I control equal to damage dealt. So hitting face is a term that just means being able to attack unblocked. So, like, you know, instead of hitting one of these things, she gets to punch you in the face, by decreasing your life. Which means we can heal target woman up to 2. Which means we can take this damage off of Rhonda now. That's nice. Something else to note, which is A, whether these are tapped, and B, Manowar's actual, like, thing she does. Basically, when you play Manowar, she's only around for, like, the round, or the, like, part of the turn that you play her. Once you get to your next main phase, like, it's main phase, combat main phase, so we're now on our next main phase, she goes back to our hand. She didn't do this last time because she was scotched, and so none of the text on her exists or matters when she's scotched. Are we doing anything else this turn? No. Okay. At this point, I'm gonna kind of speed run through the game. I hope people have gotten a pretty good idea of how the game works now. And basically, Maddie here is in a bit of gamer rage, and so she's going to throw the game on purpose because she's mad. And so what she's going to do is she's going to use Scalpel as an instant to deal 2 damage to target player or woman. She's going to target her own Thals, deal 2 damage to her, scotch her, and then end her turn. You might ask why she's doing that. And that's so I can show something else later. Okay, we go up to 3 energy, draw a card, untap all the thingies. So, now that Thals is, has 1 more damage than she has toughness, we get to use Quill of Scotched, which says bend target -1 woman. This is a woman who's -1 because she has 1 more damage than she has toughness. So we play that instant, and then she gets bent. This orange zone is the bend. And the thing to note about the bends is that there's no way to pull anything out of this. Once something gets bend, it's bend forever. Well, okay. That's the current plan. We'll see if someone comes out of the bends in Adnatch, because, you know, then I'm gonna have to adapt that, which is gonna be a whole mess. But also, all of the rules of this game are very subject to changing based off of what happens in Adnatch. We're gonna move on to combat, and since our opponent has been so nice and is not playing the game anymore, we are going to play Manowar and swing with all of our characters. Which means we do 4 damage from Manowar, 1 damage from Rhonda, 2 damage from Maves, and 4 damage from Jika, which is 1, 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 1, 1, 2, 3 damage. Okay, and then we, you know what? We're gonna also use, just to add insult to imagery, we're gonna use our lockpick. Oh, wait, no, can't do that. Because we spent that 1 energy on Manowar. Oops. Okay, yeah, that's gonna be our turn. And we're gonna pull Manowar back because we end our second main phase. Start a second main phase, rather. Ooh, we get Holocene. That's cool. If you want to try and figure out what Holocene means, you can. Kind of, almost have enough information to understand that card. You know what? We're just gonna pass our turn again. I don't want to play anymore. And then I forgot to tap everyone because they all attacked. Oops. Okay, we're gonna untap them now. Set our energy to 3 and draw a card. Sturdy. And we're gonna swing again. And we're gonna deal. Oh, we're also gonna play Man of War. And while we're swinging, we're getting a bit fast and loose with it. Don't worry about it. We're gonna deal 1 damage from Ron, do 2 damage from Mabes. We're gonna do 4 damage from Chica, and 4 damage for Man of War. Our opponent is now at -8 health, which is less than 1, which is one of the 2 ways you can lose the game. So now, they lose and we win. Let's go. Good job, everyone. I turned off physics. There we go. Yay! You won! Thank you all for watching. If you have any questions about any part of this game, feel free to ask me, either in the comments or, statistically speaking, you probably have my Discord, so you could just, like, DM me on there if you have questions. I also occasionally talk about Adnatch in a thread on the official Discord in the fan resources channel. So you can also look there, and you can also ask me questions there. Hi, Editor Idea here. To correct Editor Idea, it's not the fan resources channel, it's the fan creations channel. Yeah, this is a game I love. I've really enjoyed making it. Even if the mechanics are a little hard to understand, maybe. Even if I'm mostly just bad at explaining them. I think that's it. Stay delusional, pukers, and stay whimsical, pukers. Why have I been saying stay whimsical? I should be saying stay eccentric. Stay eccentric, pukers. That's so much better. I'm maybe stupid.